This event happened on Sunday. It was several days ago. There was an attack on the Golan Heights area in Syria, which is across the border from Israel, and all the fingers are pointing at the Israeli military for doing this attack, and those that were killed, the fatalities, are Hezbollah fighters. Now, they seem to have been doing a joint mission, some kind of a defense that they are putting up against the Islamic State militants. So it's a coordination between Syria and Lebanese forces to keep the force from the east. Just generally giving an idea, you'd have to look at a map. And because this is to the north of Israel, the northern side of Israel, it's within their striking range, easy striking range. They claim that they can even strike within Iran from where they are, which is even further to the north of this entire area. But as you can read from the beginning of the article, the subtitle is that General Mohammed Allahdadi of Iran's Revolutionary Guard has also been killed, along with the Hezbollah fighters. Now, this is significant because high-level Iranian brass, if you want to call them that, their top brass usually doesn't get killed, unless there's some huge war going on, like they had over a decade ago with Iraq. And of course, this was a proxy war, Iran versus Iraq. Right now, it's very unusual, so this is a shocking development and could have major implications. The Iranians are threatening that they will retaliate, and Major General Mohammed Ali Jafari was quoted, and he says, "This is our first martyred commander who was killed directly with a Zionist bullet." So this incident may really heat things up between the two adversaries. And it's not just nations, it's an axis of nations. And also we know that Israel is getting very friendly with both Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Probably they have more in common with Saudi Arabia as far as their ties with the West, but the ties with Egypt are more related to a common enemy of long-term standing, and that would be the Palestinians, especially those in Gaza, which both borders on Israel and Egypt. So another thing that I want to bring your attention to is an interview that I saw on the Real News. So they're a very large, effective news network that's online, and if you haven't seen them, go check it out. It's called The Real News. So they were talking with an analyst who brought up an interesting point about whenever the Israel election cycle comes up, they seem to do some violence. And the statement was that it always happens without fail. So it's a pattern. And the upcoming election is because the current prime minister called for a snap election, which is, I think, a year ahead of time on the normal schedule for the elections. it's every 4 years. So this is, I think, less than 3 years into his term, and the snap election will be in March, which is not more than 2 months away. And what happens is during elections in Israel, they have to get tough. They want to put a political spin on their campaign that they're going to be defensive and they're going to protect Israel, and there has to be some proof to that. So in the midst of the campaign, or the really big kickoff to the campaign, people have to be killed. That's what they're saying. They have to be killed. Whether it's Palestinians, Hezbollah, Iranians, whoever it may be. So this is the gruesome fact, is the reality of what goes on in the Middle East and many places in the world. You can see here, as I've been talking, it's the report on the funeral that just took place. Of course, they're getting stirred up now against their enemies. I do not take a side in any of this. I hold to a grand neutrality, and the whole thing I report fairly on both sides when I form my opinion, when I express my opinion here. Thanks for watching.